Okay, I'm going to jump straight into this. We're going to have a look at Cleo Smith again from Carnarvon, Western Australia. I've got two charts here. The one on the left is 3 a.m. and the one on the right is 3:30 a.m. Now, if you watched the last video, you'll know why I'm doing these times, because there has been a witness who has seen a vehicle and heard a vehicle, etc. at this time, in this time frame. At 3 o'clock was the very first time that I'd heard, and then now I think they were probably sighted leaving Blowholes Road, turning south down to Carnarvon or towards Meekatharra around 3:30. So what we're going to have to look at is these charts here in quick comparison to the other ones, and look at the angles and the degrees, etc., and see what we can see. Obviously, we want to look to the third house, the Ascendant. Okay, so the Ascendant is Cleo. But the Ascendant also is representing what's happening at the time, the cars being heard. So we have to sort of keep that in mind. The third house is movement of a vehicle. Here's the first house, third house, movement of a vehicle, etc. And then aspects. So let's go through the 3 o'clock one. Now, if you'll remember, the moon rules Cleo, and it's at 25 degrees of Aquarius. So these are those planets that I talked about before. Now, this isn't good here. The descendant, which is the perpetrator, has the moon, which is Cleo, right there. So she is literally at 3 o'clock with this perpetrator in the 7th house of the perpetrator. Okay, so I've lowered the orb, so the closest aspect is to the actual descendant, 24 and 25. Then the moon is completely opposite the Ascendant, so her physical body. So she's not where she's supposed to be. Now, another thing is this whole area, once again, is forming this trine, the blue line, which is now pink, to the Sun and Mars. Okay, so this is the male, this is the vehicle, and this is the witnesses, I think. Now that falls in the 2nd house. So what does that mean, going from the 2nd house to the 7th house? The 2nd house represents abductions, literally. So I believe that she was in the vehicle. Now, we look at the 3rd house cusp is Scorpio. The ruler of Scorpio is Mars in the vehicle. So the person driving is most likely the person that took her. And I've got a feeling that there's two people, but we'll carry on. I've gone back to the 1:30 chart so we can see these similarities. So there's the moon here. Let's get rid of this. At 25 degrees in the 7th house. So at 1:30 she is further away, closer to the 8th house, to the perpetrator. So the perpetrator is watching her from afar, okay? So he is Saturn, and in my mind, Pluto as well. because Pluto in there is, well, it's a lot of things. It's somebody that could work in the area that is watching. Saturn itself as well, it's an older male, over 30. But yeah, so the moon is ahead. So the person watching is behind at this point in time. And again, we saw that if you saw the last video. If you haven't seen it, watch it. This Mercury shows that there's something behind. Someone watching from afar. And this Mercury is confusing me because it's either the people that saw them in the vehicle or two people took Cleo. Or three people even know what happened. An older person and two other people. So this is the 130 chart, okay? So the moon is right up at the top of the 7th house there. So she's in the sights of the perpetrator. Now back to the 3 o'clock one. That's where she is now. So not in the sights of the perpetrator, in the hands of the perpetrator. The process of taking her. And now the perpetrator's down here. Smack in the 6th house still, which also shows me yet again that it is somebody that works within the area, or Carnarvon or Meekatharra, or one of the mine sites, or on a sheep station. A mine site's very, very, very possible. Mine site worker. But definitely someone that knows the area and that is a local. Now, the end of the matter here, this 4th house, Venus has been popping up a little bit. Venus is making an aspect to this Mercury. It's just a sextile, so only 60 degrees, but still 9 and 10. A female keeps popping up in this to me. Now, whether there's a female in the vehicle, I'm not 100% sure, but the troubling thing here is that Venus is in Sagittarius, so when we do the dispositorship, we go to Jupiter, because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. Jupiter is right there next to the moon, wedged between Saturn and the moon. So this connection between these two people, a female, and then Jupiter up here, is important, in my opinion, at this point in time. Now, this is the 3 a.m. chart. So not only that, the Ascendant, so the visible situation and the physical body of Cleo herself, is the Sun, which is right next to Mars there, and is that male in the 2nd house of abduction. And the Ascendant is 24. Keep that in mind. Okay, so I think I got cut off then. I apologise. Now, I've taken the orb down to 75%, so we've tightened up the aspects. This is 3:30. Okay? So now we can see what's going on at 3:30. Now, I believe that at 3:30 would be the time that they were seen on the road, because at 3 o'clock there was noise heard in the camp area, a vehicle. So there's from 3 till 3:30 that they're asking people, they're saying is important. 3:30, I believe, we need to start mapping from the corner of those two roads, which I'll get to. So this is 3:30. Now, what we can see is, now we need to readdress the question. At 3:30, two people, or they were seen in this vehicle on the road. Okay, so again, we need to focus on that third house cusp. Again, the third house cusp is Scorpio. The ruler is Mars at 20 degrees. And then Mercury is, I mean, it's always going to be ahead of it in these charts, but now it's in the first house, so it can see. So Mercury is like, it's telling us that the people in the vehicle can see there is people in the vehicle. Okay? Now, the moon, so Cleo has now moved 1 degree, 26 degrees of Aquarius. Not very much, but it has moved. It's gone further into the area of where the person came from. So the more I think about this and the more I look at it, the more it makes sense that, in fact, she was most likely taken away from that area, because my thoughts were that they should look more in the area, because unfortunately it's a shark feeding frenzy area. It's a terrible spot. But and the map was going towards the water and the blowholes, but we need to remember that this is fluid. Anyway, the fluidity of it now is telling me that she's gone further into the being captured, being taken away somewhere, likely towards the place where the person works, not lives. If it was this fourth house here, you know, if this was full of things, then I would say the perpetrator, Saturn, has gone home. But no, this is all just leading to what a person does on a daily basis, which is often go to work, especially in Carnarvon, Quobba, Meekthara, and the Gascoyne. So, what can we glean from this? Alright, what else can we see? First of all, Mercury is still making this aspect as it would with the female, this female that keeps popping up. The female is now, along with Mercury, closer than ever to the end of the matter, the end result. Again, oops, that is in relation to Jupiter, which is right next to Cleo. Did a woman lure Cleo into a vehicle? Because this Venus is in the third house of the vehicle. That off. And what we're going to do is we're going to map very, very, very specifically from this time, 3:30, from the intersection of Blowholes Road and Northwest, whatever road it is. We'll have a look in a minute. What we're going to map is, what we're going to map this time, because we're talking vehicles and roads, is the third house cusp, which is 15 degrees of Scorpio. So when we transfer that Scorpio is 210 degrees naturally. We add 15 to it, so that's 225. We're going to use that on the map, 225 degrees from the corner where they were seen. Now, notice when we turn that into full whole sign numbers, we've got 22, the sun, as well. 2, 2, 2. So we're going to use 22, and Jupiter is at 22. We're going to use 22.5 as some radius, I think, as well. So we're going to look at the third house cusp, and we're going to look at, well, in fact, Mercury, so this Libra area, Mercury, Mars, the Sun. So basically we're mapping, oops-a-daisy, not that giant wedge. This area in here, I know that's a mess, sorry. This area in here we're going to convert into a map. So it starts at 190 degrees, making a right old mess, and then goes to 225 degrees. So that's what I'm going to map, okay? Let's have a little look. Okay, so I've zoomed right in, and you can see here we've got Blowholes Road going, there's a vehicle going south down here onto Northwest Coastal Highway, okay? So I've just done the initial radius. I'm just going to take these away so they're not confusing. And even gone out that far. So I've gone out once again to Meekatharra, and I've used miles and kilometres. I'm combining them this time. So let's do it live. I haven't done it yet. Let's draw the lines in that we were going to. It's raining now. Okay, so the first one I'm just going to draw is Mercury at 190. So that's 10 degrees of Libra. I'm very interested in Mercury because it's the car, and that's the question and everything. So we start at the car there. I grab my little tool, might change colour, and then look at the bearing and go to 190, 190.19, 190.52 we need. Oh, so close. This can be the tricky bit. It's literally going to be just about here. So, okay, so you can see I started exactly at that road. Very specific. And that's the 190. Let's go back here. Mercury at 10.52 or 190.52. That's this line here. So that's the first thing I do, is start at the first radius, and then the line goes there. So the first thing we can see immediately is that Mercury itself goes through Carnarvon. Again, across the Gascoyne, around this area here. Power station, it's interesting. Still on North West Coastal Highway as well, by the way. Okay, so that's just Mercury. Now, let's do the Sun and Mars, because they're popping up so much and they're so important in this. Obviously, we'll have a look at Saturn as well, because that was the ruler of the perpetrator, but at the moment, like I said, we're focusing on this third house because it's vehicles. So Mars at 20 degrees of Libra is 200, and then 202. So 200. $202. Now what that's given us is a really tight wedge. So I showed you a wedge to start with, so now it's forming on the map. But it shows us points of interest. This area here, for example. This housing here. This bridge keeps on popping up, actually. Bibbawara Road Bridge going over the Gascoyne River. Carnarvon Growers Association, NASA, Space Museum, Farm Stay, Aboriginal community, which the trackers would have probably come from. They were called too late, by the way. Service station. Okay, so that's that little wedge there. Now, obviously, if we keep going, we're just going to be going out to sea. But let's do 200 and see where it crosses. Because it crosses the ocean, but goes through Shark Bay, Denham, Useless Loop. These are areas where people work and holiday, actually. Shark Bay. This area here, Useless Loop. When you zoom in, you'll notice that there's not much, but there is places to work. There are homes and there are places to work. So, excuse me, that's that line. Now we'll go back to that Mercury at, oops, 190. And then 202, right there. Now let's see what we have. So now we've narrowed down Shark Bay, Denham, Hartog Island. I don't think anybody... Oh, well, yeah, there you go. There's an eco lodge. People work there. Definitely people work there. So now, if you're in the vehicle, you can't cross the water, but all you need to do is go down, let's find the road, this road here, which comes all the way from Carnarvon, one road, and then you turn, coincidentally or not, where the radius line is, and then go into this area here. Okay, so hopefully that narrows things down a little bit more. Now, I still have my areas that I would be looking if the person did actually decide to go along this way. Now, I can't not note that the radius went to, again, Carnarvon Mullawa Road, around this area here in Garda. So I'm also going to map this Leo line, 24 degrees, which is related to the sun. So the Ascendant when she was taken, which matches the one at 1:30 where Leo is completely contained in the first house and the Sun and Mars is in the third house. So putting her in the vehicle basically at this point in time. So we're going to look at that Leo, 24 Leo, which is, let me get my brain on. Okay, so Leo is 120 plus 24 is 144, which takes us there to a place called Woodley. We'll go further out, going down there, and we'll go further out, 44, down there. Okay, so now we have ourselves a nice Leo line that continues down this main road, and it's just a bit further out than the road you would need. Actually, that's not true. You'd be on that road. Anyway, Woodley, again, point of interest. Whether there's homes on there, do not know. Further out, okay, there's so many areas actually. Even though this is in the middle of nowhere, I can tell you right now that a lot of people live and work in Yalgoo. Mount Magnet is mining, so if you were to go closer up, you'd see all the holes that they dig in the ground over here in WA. So, you know, again, a miner. And going back all the way again, we cannot forget that AC line of the 130 chart. So let's map it from there. It is 29 degrees of Cancer. Cancer is 90. Add 29. We've got 119. Is that right? 90. 29. Yeah. So from that point, it goes straight through this area here, the East Murchison, which is a river more than anything. There's Meekatharra, which I said is the place to check as well. Now I'm going to show you that this here, Reedy, that is a mine site. There's station stays. It's an area where a mine site is. All of this here is mining, as you can see. There we go, Reedy Gold Mine. Big Bells, etc. all around there. I know that area because I actually work in the area. So mine sites everywhere, not very many places to stay, locals only unless you work there, and usually people fly in and fly out if they don't live there. So we've got between Mount Magnet, Kew, Meekatharra, this sort of general area, and then also the area that is Denham and Monkey Mire Shark Bay. I know that is giving just tons of places to look, but really I think we're looking for a perpetrator with Cleo, possibly with him or them. So I'm hoping that if a vehicle is found, which is why we're doing all these vehicle charts, if a vehicle is found in any of these spots, then, you know, perhaps maybe that will lead to her. Maybe she's alive. It's very hard to tell. The chances are very slim, sadly, and I think a lot of people do know that. But so there we go. The second part of the map from the exact location where the vehicle was seen turning south, going towards Carnarvon. So again, let's have a little look around here. I'm going to link this map, so if you want to have a look at it, you can see exactly the roads, who lives and works where. People that know Carnarvon are going to know it way better than me. But yeah, we've got a lot of areas, and I am fairly convinced that we're dealing with a local or worker, and probably 3 people know what happened, and possibly a female is involved in this as well. I cannot see the parents, the mother and the stepfather, being involved. I know it's something that is always looked at in American crime, and of course it happens everywhere, but the body language to me was desperation and sadness. The stepfather apparently was beside himself, frantically looking for her. I don't get it from the body language that there's something wrong there. I believe that she was taken. I just hope that if something did happen, it was quick. And I do believe it actually was, because when we look at these charts here and go back to what I was saying with the moon, you know, moving closer and closer and getting time-wise, it's like by 3 o'clock she's gone, by 3:30 they're seen, and then it's not long after that. Really, I mean, I think everyone knows this. Realistically, you should be looking for a child within 1 hour, 3 hours max, because, and that's not the parents' fault or anyone else's, they should have got the Aboriginal trackers in before anybody else, because how can they track when everybody's been trampling through? And they needed to interview every single person that works from all the way, all around Quobba Station, Red Bluff, and then extend their way out to the mine sites. So I hope that helps, and if anyone knows anything about Cleo Smith, please call Crime Stoppers. I'll leave a link below to the map so you can look at it closely. Okay, take care, bye guys. Bye.